Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Just want to make another video. Today's my birthday, turned 55 today. I wanted to answer a couple questions, and this is a question I keep getting about George Lucas and when he stole Jedi Knights in the Force from me in 1974. I just wanted to interject here. If that's a surprise to you, you can either continue watching this video or you can go back and look at some of my other videos. One's called The Plagiarism of Star Wars. It's on my channel. All you can do is click on my name. You can see all my videos. Go there and watch it and then come back and watch this video. So, one of the questions I've got, and this is one to lawyers who've asked me, what did he take from you? Well, if you look at it, that's intellectual property is what that's called. I don't know if you didn't understand what that means. When he asked me about Jedi Knights in the Force on the phone in 1974 in Jack Hamburger's kitchen, he also told me he was going to make me rich and famous, which is an oral contract. Whether you understand what an oral contract is, now I think you probably do. But that was an oral contract, and maybe some of the lawyers didn't understand the whole gist of the conversation that I had with Mr. Lucas in 1974. And so I wanted to answer that question, and I could go over a list of things he did. For one, he solicited a minor without his parents' permission, which I'm not sure how the law pertains to that. I was 7 years old. He had his nephew, or his cousin, sorry, who was also 6 or 7, or he was around the same age as me, come and get me on the phone. So then he involved another minor. So I don't know if that's another crime in itself, getting another minor involved with a crime you were committing against another minor, and then not just soliciting me, then making an oral contract and not keeping it. If that wasn't enough, you robbed me in 1989. It was either 88 or 89 when I sent you the Rod of Iron, and you sent back the little Lucasfilm letter that said, oh, well, we don't accept unpublished material. You never sent my book back. So there's 4. And then the 5th one was you had someone from the FBI spying on me, which to this day, I do believe now that someone in the FBI not only had to be listening to me, because the location of a certain piece of paper that said Jedi Knights in the Force from 1974, which I already had a forensic analyst ready to look at, was there. It was in my document sleeve, stored away way out in the sticks in Louisville, or outside of Louisville. It was out in the country, Kentucky. Okay, no one knew where it was at, much less that it even existed. The first time I mentioned it in public was on the videos I made in 2014. So no one could have known prior to 2014 that that piece of paper even existed unless they were tapping my phones. They had to be. Someone was tapping my phones. If it wasn't Bob Frederick, the FBI guy you sent to my house in Bedford, Ohio in 2001, would you send him to my house twice? It was once, and I know because when he first came to talk to me, all my flowers were blooming, and I was in a big flower contest, and I won that year, and the lady who judged it was from Better Homes and Gardens, so I won that year. So, and when he came, he was sitting there talking to me about all my flowers, but he asked for the lady who used to live there and said she had been a witness to an accident, and I only knew her name because I used to get her mail. Again, and I've mentioned that in the other videos. So, but apparently George knew something, or his FBI agent Bob Frederick knew, obviously he had, records, I guess, he could get into because he knew who used to live there. He knew enough that he could find out not only who lived there now, which was me, who he was coming to see, really, even though he played dumb, but he knew who used to live there. So obviously he had some kind of abilities to get information. And sorry, my dog just always likes to play whenever I'm on the phone. Come here, come here, come here, come here, baby, come here, calm down. Okay, the whole thing is just, I can't imagine how any of you would feel, and I'm not opposed to people asking me questions. If you have a question, if you want an answer to a question, ask me. I'll tell you what I know, and that's all I can do. I can only keep telling you the truth so many times, so many ways. And the fact that I wouldn't even be posting these videos if what I'm telling you did not happen. I wouldn't bother to post them. Because I don't like deceitful people. I don't. And I remember the incident that happened way back with, who was it? The talk show host, Jay Leno. I think he was being harassed by some guy who tried to claim he stole a bunch of something. Who cares? I mean, that guy was obviously, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he was telling the truth, but I don't really know. I didn't have any evidence of that, but I do know that I have witnesses to what happened in 1974. Not only my brothers, but my mother. If she had a good memory, if we had a machine or some way to re-stimulate people's memories from, back 20, 30, 40, 50 years in this case. As a matter of fact, I turned 55 today. I was 7 years old when he took Jedi Knights in the Force. So in 2 more years, I'll be the same. I'll be 50 years. It'll be 50 years since he first robbed me. And obviously that was in April. And I got a pretty good idea that it happened after the tornado hit Louisville in 1974. And it was after Easter, because I remember us getting the big baskets and we were out in the front yard playing not too long after that. And that's when we were playing Pirates, and I said Jedi Knights in the Force, and that's when George Lucas's cousin was standing there. He heard it and he ran and told George about it. And then George had him trying to come and get me on the phone, and he was trying to feel me out. But the fact of the matter is, the man robbed a 7-year-old kid. I don't know why anyone doesn't want to hear, doesn't want to know. Look, I like the Star Wars movies. When I first seen it in the theater in 1977, my dad, we stood in that line. We stood there, and when he stood in that cave with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he said, "Your father was a Jedi," I said, "Isn't that mine to my father?" And my dad said, "No, that's his son." And that's the last time I remembered the whole thing until 1999 again. And I've gone over that story several times with you all, that my mother was telling a story about me falling on a Tinker Toy, which wasn't what happened. I was in Jack Hamburger's backyard. Right after, as I told you, I was on the phone with George Lucas, and he told me he was going to make me rich and famous. So then I ran back home, and I was trying to see how bad my mouth was. My mom wasn't paying attention. I picked up a Tinker Toy. I didn't feel the roof of my mouth. I turned to walk to the bathroom because I was going to go look in the mirror and see how bad it was. And I fell, and then she noticed me after I fell. And then she thought because there was blood on that Tinker Toy from me feeling the roof of my mouth, she thought I fell on that Tinker Toy, so that was in her head. And her and my dad both tell that story like that's what happened. I know, I remember, I was there, I was running almost full blast when he, as good as I could run at the time. And he turned and pointed it right at my face because he was spinning the thing like a helicopter, it looked like a little tornado, when he was spinning it. And then he yelled at me, and I ran at him, and he pointed it right at my face, and it went straight in my mouth because I was laughing. I was running and playing and laughing. I was a kid, that's what we do, as kids. So I came off my feet, blood sprayed. I ran home, and the rest of the story. I still have to think that my doctor who looked at me, he kept I don't know. I think he thought my parents were lying to me. And so, because, there's got to be obvious differences between falling on a Tinker Toy and running into a piece of rebar, which is not only rusty, but I came off my feet. So there has to be some kind of not only physical difference in the kind of damage you would get from falling straight down or running into something and coming off your feet. But it almost killed me. Nonetheless, the doctor told my parents a hair further it would have killed me. So that was George Lucas's cousin, Jack Hamburger. That piece of paper vanished, and I'm now down to, I assume that it probably disappeared somewhere between 2009 and it had to be before 15, so somewhere in about a 5-year range there from 2000 2009 to 2014, it had to have disappeared. And again, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask me questions. I'll answer them. If you're being legitimately polite, you're asking questions. If you're being smart aleck, I'll just block you and I'll erase your comments and ban you from my channel. Or at least I'll block you from being able to make contact on them or any kind of comments, because I don't appreciate people trying to tell me what happened. I know the truth, so you can't tell me the truth and what I know. So I'm not making this story up. This is not a joke. I don't make up things about people. I think that's a bad thing to do. I think it's a sin to really make. Thou shalt not bear false witness. It is one of the 10 commandments. I would not do that. What I'm telling you is the truth. I've shown you in other videos that George Lucas took things from other people. He took Wookiee from that guy from THX. He took the Yoda. At least I believe it's Yoda. That looks just like him in the vintage manuscript. And then he took a lot of his music for Star Wars was stolen from The Planets by Gustav Holst. Again, go back and look at it. I just wish people would share the videos. I'm not trying to, you can take it for whatever you want. It's between you and God. I'm trying to tell you the truth. You can take whatever you want out of it. I'm not forcing you to do anything. I'm just putting the truth out, and you can do what you want with it. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. I can't change it any more than you do. I like Star Wars. I really would have liked it more if he'd have been more of an honest person. Honestly, ever since I've learned the truth about Jedi Knights in the Force and remembered what happened in 1974, I have absolutely despised Star Wars, and I used to love it. So I went from loving something to hating it. And I really, I don't know if any of you would feel any different, but if you were in my shoes, you probably wouldn't. So, and ever since I found out the truth, I had gone and seen Phantom Menace with a friend of mine, and I think it was 98 or 99 when it came out. And that was right after that all this stuff happened, and I started remembering. And I really, even after my mom telling that story in 99, still didn't remember. I went to Florida again, so I've lived in Florida more than once. When I put that on paper was in 1974 in West Palm Beach, but I went back to Florida at the end of 99, and I stayed in Port St. Lucie. And then I came back up to Louisville. My mother and me were going through the paperwork, and that's when I pulled out that piece of paper that said Jedi Knights in the Force from 1974. And at that point, she made me put it back in the sleeve. It didn't still hit me. And again, I keep repeating that. It didn't hit me. Still didn't remember it all. And I put it back in the sleeve, and Mom put it up, and then and something about that whole episode that happened in Jack Hamburger's yard, him getting me on the phone with George, and it was like sitting on my head, and I kept, it wouldn't leave me alone. It was really like it was stuck in my head, like I couldn't stop thinking about it until I said to my brother in Louisville before I left and I moved to Ohio here, I said to my brother, I think George Lucas robbed me. George Lucas didn't rob you. He was always the same pessimist, and he's the one who actually remembers me saying Jedi Knights in the Force, and I've posted his comment in the other videos where he said, I remember you saying Jedi Knights in the Force because I reminded him of when we were standing in the front yard playing Pirates. Remember I told you we were playing Pirates, and I said, I'm a Jedi Knight, I'm using the Force to beat you. Or I'm the Jedi Knight. I said, I'm Jedi Knight. I didn't say, I said, I'm Jedi Knight, I'm going to use the Force to beat you. And everybody looked at me, what's Jedi Knight? And I said, it's someone who uses the Force to fight evil. And my brother said, maybe you're the evil one. And I always remembered him saying, maybe you're the evil one. So when I reminded him that, and then when we were in Florida in 1974, we left Louisville, went and moved to Florida. And that's when I went in the house to put it on paper. We were outside, and I said, I'm going to go put it on paper. And that's when there's his son texting me for my birthday. But that's before I went into the house. That's when he also said nobody's going to steal that stupid thing. So I had to put that in here. I went in the house, put it on paper, and asked my mom how to spell Jedi and my older brother how to spell Knight. Now neither one of those were really neither. My older brother remembers me saying something night. He doesn't remember Jedi. He remembers night, and that doesn't help me. But my mom is the one who told me how to spell Jedi. How do you get somebody's memory to come back? I don't know. But I'd like to be able to do that, because then I could even get my father to remember when we were in a theater and I said, Tim, isn't that mine? You know, he would remember that too. But I guess not everybody's memory works the same. And people don't maybe remember specific things. My mind has always been like a lot of things that I remember, or like a recording, like Memorex, you know. But I think a lot of that had to do with me being burned as a child too. And one thing I'd like to clarify is, even though my memories, when I do remember something, they are like a Memorex, the reason I forgot about George Lucas and this whole Jedi Knight thing in 1974 is just because we had a very rough childhood. I remembered a lot of details from my childhood, and I'll be honest with you, I remember when I was 2 years old watching my parents letting down the sides of my baby bed and watch how they did it, and I learned to do it myself. And I'd climb out on the floor and play with these little tin spinning tops we had that you could crank the handles on. And I told them about it, and they couldn't believe that I remembered that stuff. But they know that that was the only time we had those spinning tops, because that was still even before we moved to Riata, where this whole thing with George Lucas happened. So my memory, that piece of memory, was just like you had taken a Memorex tape and just cut that chunk out and lost it somewhere, and then I found it later on. And I think that's why, once my mom told me the story about me falling the stick, it sort of started to come back, but then it didn't really come back until after we saw that piece of paper. And then I was thinking about later on, and I still didn't even remember where that piece of paper was from. It didn't click. It didn't click until I had moved to Ohio, and then boom, it all came like a dam broke, and it all my memory came back about that, and that whole section of tape just filled in instantly, like from point A to point B. Anyway, I was burned over 50% of my body, second and third degree burns. That was in the late 60s, mid to late 60s, and then by the time George Lucas's cousin lived around the corner from me on Riata Boulevard. I lived on Riata, he lived on Robinwood, which is 400 and something feet apart. I was still having a hard time, because I couldn't even wear shorts in class and stuff, because I had burns that went down my legs real bad. And I had a hard time walking. They put me in dance and all this other stuff and karate classes so I could, learn to stretch. And I was learning to stretch my leg again, and so I could walk normally. But I was still sort of, I guess, semi-handicapped at that point, because, and for him to do what he did, and then the next year I was in a foster home. Take that, I know at that point, even in 75, he didn't know that Star Wars was going to be this big sensation, so he still didn't know yet until after 77, but that doesn't change the fact that I was, even after that, I moved back to, we got put in a foster home, we moved back with our dad, back with our mom, back with our dad, back with our mom. And by that time, when we moved back with our mom, we were really poor. But so many things took place, and we ended up with my mom for a long time. And we ended up some really poor a lot of times. So, it's just sad that he never bothered to even try to look and see, is this kid doing okay or anything. He never did anything. I mean, what kind of person does that? You steal something from a kid, you make billions and billions of dollars, but you never even, come on, really? Come on. Anybody out there with half a brain or half a heart would think, what kind of a person would do that? I mean, George, look at me, man. You did it. Nobody did that but you. So why can't you just, I think if you came and told the truth, maybe people would be mad at you for a while. But I think after a while, they would get over it, and they would think of you in a better light, because they say, well, this guy's, at least he was honest, and he came back and finally told the truth. But you haven't. You haven't done anything so far, and it's been almost 50 years. In 2 more years, it'll be 50 years, dude, that you robbed me 50 years ago. And, to sit and tell me you were going to make me rich and famous, I don't really care about the money. I want to know. I want the truth to be out there, and I really don't care to be famous, but obviously, if everybody finds out the truth, that's going to be almost like instantly anyway. Which I still really don't care to be famous. That's not really my thing. I just think that the truth needs to come out. You know, the Bible says that God is the truth, the light, and the way, and we have to do what we're supposed to do in life. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, then do it. Otherwise, don't tell them you're going to do it, and then not do it. Don't tell them. If you'd have never said to me on the phone, I'm going to make you rich and famous, I couldn't even make these videos. The only thing I could do is claim that you took it from me, and that's it. And then you lied. Well, you still took Jedi Knights in the Force from me, and then you've never told anyone the truth about it. I'm sure, maybe, I don't know, maybe there is someone who knows. I wouldn't doubt Spielberg probably knows, or somebody like that, you know. Any questions y'all have, please post them. I'm sorry if you don't like the truth. That's between you and God, because I can't change the truth any more than you can. So whether you believe it, again, you can move on. I would still like that if you would share the videos and let other people make that decision for themselves, because again, my videos are not being unsubscribed viewers are not seeing my videos, and other people aren't seeing it. I've shared it. I'm on so many platforms, and a lot of times I'm posting them on there and I'm getting 0 views. So I'm like, I can't understand how my videos wouldn't get any views. 0. I mean, on some of these platforms, none. And so it's like, how do you shadow ban an entire IP address? How do they keep people from seeing my videos? Because it is really like someone's blackballing my IP address where nobody can see it. And I guess if anybody had the power to do something like that, it would be George Lucas, which is even more reason for people, all you, to share it. Let everybody sit to decide for themselves, because they're keeping the truth from being known by you. Okay? This is another truth. I mean, I don't care about, we're not talking about politics right now. That's another story. This is about the truth being out. Okay? And I'm sure there's a lot of truths out there that are being kept from the public, but again, I'm not talking about politics right now. But everybody should know the truth. I don't care whether you're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, I don't care what you are. You should know the truth. And this thing, Jedi Knights in the Force, Star Wars, has affected the whole world. And every time I turn around, I hear somebody talking about, yeah, this, the Force, that, and the Star Wars weaponry, this and that. And you hear it everywhere. It's not like it's every day in my face, and I can't. It's like I know the truth, and I can't do anything, and I can't get people to listen to me. I'm trying to tell you the truth here. Listen to me, okay? I'm not just making this stuff up. George Lucas robbed me when I was 7 years old. Tell everybody you know. Make him come out and tell the truth. Disney knew this stuff because I wrote them letters. They don't care about kids. I was 7 years old when he robbed me. 7. Have they said anything? Did they even look into it? I don't bet they did. Unless, in fact, there's this other thing like I keep saying, that in fact that the FBI agent that was listening to me sold that piece of evidence of mine that vanished out of a storage place way out in the country. It was actually stored on private property in a storage shed. How did they get in? How did they know it was there? How come, there's 3 document sleeves and mine's the only one that's missing? The one with the evidence is gone. It didn't just get up and walk away. Why didn't the other 2 walk away with it? Because they knew what they were looking for. And somehow someone got it. They sold it I think they sold it to Disney. And that's how they got Star Wars. They blackmailed George Lucas into selling them Star Wars. It makes sense. It's why he's trying to keep control of it, even though they have it. Why would you sell it if you didn't want to relinquish control of it in the first place? If I don't want to relinquish control of something, I'm not going to sell it to someone else. Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense at all. And if y'all don't understand what I'm trying to get to you here, I think Disney has my evidence. Anyway, that's I can't prove that at this point. Anyway, George Lucas had someone listening to me. My FOIA requests keep hitting a brick wall, literally. I just can't, and I'm trying to get some other people to step in and help me. So I've written letters to them. We'll see if I get a response. I still haven't at this point. Anyway, I probably won't be making another video before the end of the year. So Today's the 30th, and today's my birthday again. And I just want to tell you all Happy New Year. Have a Happy New Year, and belated Merry Christmas. And just think about what I'm telling you. I'm not making this story up. George Lucas robbed me. I was 7 years old. His cousin Jack Himberger helped him in Louisville, Kentucky in 1974. Just share the video, please. Have a Happy New Year.